I was an admirer of Applied Psycholinguistics as a journal. I was a subscriber to it. And I was an admirer of one of the editors of it, Catherine Snow. And when she called me and said, how would you like to become one of the co-editors? At the time there were two co-editors. I was thrilled. Now it's interesting I said, why do you think I'd be good for this? And she said, because you don't have a theoretical bias. So I think one of the things about this journal is it does not have a theoretical bias, which in my book is good news. And I was interested in the journal because I was interested in psycholinguistics, but also I come from an applied background in communication disorders. So it suited me, the combination of applied and psycholinguistics.
So, like Martha, I was a long-time reader of articles in the journal, and when Martha called me to invite me to join the journal as an associate editor, it was a really exciting moment, and I really appreciated the ability to work with authors and articles in areas that are both clearly within my area of expertise, but also reach into interdisciplinary areas.
I think this is a journal that we would both agree has a pretty broad scope. And the way I think about that is it goes from child learners to adult learners, in fact, even infant learners to adult learners. It goes across a variety of languages and across a variety of learner types, from people who have typical development to individuals with some kind of disability in their speech or language or difference in it. And it also involves bilingual learners, second language learners, monolingual learners. So it's got a very wide variety of things. The easiest for me has always been to think across languages and across learners.
I think of the journal as covering psycholinguistic studies in general across these various populations, including, like Martha said, children, adults, monolinguals, multilinguals, people with typical language development, clinical populations.
And we haven't said the word readers, but there's a lot of material in this journal about reading as a language activity and a psycholinguistic activity. And I think that's had a long-standing tradition, and probably where, in fact, the word applied came from. I don't think there was a lot of material on children with, say, specific language disorder before I started editing it. There was always a lot of material about readers. Well, I think the same qualities that concern its scope is part of what makes it a success. In other words, it's in a single journal, something where you can get a broad understanding of a field and you can use it broadly to inform yourself, to inform the students that you're teaching. So I think that's part of one of the reasons it's a success. I mean, the other thing is we try to be careful about the quality of what we publish, and so success is in part related to the excellence of what's in the journal. We started about 15 years ago the idea of these keynote articles with commentaries and special issues on a topic. I think those have been successful. From my point of view, they're very interesting to read, so that you've got the broad scope and you've also got some narrow focused things in the special issues and the keynote issues with the commentaries. And I think that the combination of things we do, from those special issues to the regular issues, that's part of what's different about it. There's another feature to it. We have never specified the exact page length. So in fact, we've had articles in the past which were quite long, but they needed to be long. So we let them be long. Whereas other journals will be quite deliberative in saying, no, this has to be X number of manuscript pages, and we've never done that. So I think in terms of content, we're looking for things, first of all, we're looking for things that have high impact, that are very original and are at the cutting edge of where the field is. I think we're looking also, in general, for excellence of methodology, excellence of question that's been framed, the analysis of what people have made of that question, and then, because it is a journal that has the word applied in it, what are both the theoretical and the practical ramifications of the work that was done. You know, if I had a choice, every single one of our articles would say theoretical ramifications, practical ramifications.
I think most importantly, we're looking for articles that are timely and impactful. So, and by timely, I mean ones that are well situated in both in terms of the science and in terms of the potential impact they have on society in general. So authors, we want you to send us your excellent work. We employ a robust and careful review process with an exceptional team of associate editors, and we're looking for the very best, highest quality, most timely work out there.
I guess at this point in my career, I have some advice, which is get your mentors or your colleagues to read your article before you submit it, because you may make changes even at that point that will make the difference between making it acceptable and not. And the other thing is, don't despair if you get back something that says major revisions. Do them and be proud of the revisions that you make. This is a process where everybody's trying to help, all the way from your own personal mentors and colleagues up through our associate editors and editor, have your work appear at its very best. So don't be shy about, and don't feel like a failure if it's not accepted. There are almost no papers that are accepted at the minor revision stage, never mind an automatic accept. So revisions are de rigueur, and just take them in your stride. Don't feel bad about it. Don't hide in your desk drawer to get over the feeling. Just take it on and do it. And I think that the very large majority of the major revisions, people do a careful job of revising, and then they're accepted.
And I think it's important to realize that even though revisions mean more work for you, it's actually, you get to benefit from a team that's helping pull the very best out of the work that you've done.
One of the ways the journal supports the community is there is Cambridge University Press has a remarkable marketing team, and they help to market the word, get the word out, make your work accessible, and the journal process of revising articles, getting best advice from a set of reviewers, an associate editor, sometimes the editor, means that we are supporting the community to produce the best work it can, the most excellent things to transfer out of the university into the hands of others.
And I like to think we support the international community in being an international journal that is looking to disseminate research that can shape the way we teach languages, the way clinicians do their jobs, and help us understand what fundamentally human language is.
Maybe I'll add something to that. 15 years ago, most of the submissions were coming from English language speakers or Western Europe. This isn't true anymore. We have people submitting from Latin America, from Asia, so we're serving a much broader global community and bringing information from both different languages and different people's approaches to the study of psycholinguistics. So I think that's a way that we're serving a really wide community now.
I'd like to see the journal continue on the the trajectory that it's been on under Martha's leadership. I'd like for it to continue to be among the highest quality publication venues available to psycholinguists and applied linguists, and to continue to be a venue that's trusted by scholars in all of the fields that we serve.
Yeah, to that, I would just hope that it'll thrive and continue to be a journal that's fun for people to work on and interesting and informative for people to submit to, and widely read, and does a good job of making known what's available in terms of this kind of research.
So what we've been seeing are an increase over the last several years in studies looking at the role of language and language processing in things like artificial intelligence, using big data to answer questions that we have, and increasingly sophisticated statistical methods to understand our data.
Well, I come from a city of Montreal where artificial intelligence is now burgeoning and making the city vibrate. And I've been recently to a World Economic Forum where there were speakers that were psycholinguists, and they were brought in particularly because people interested, computer scientists interested in machine learning and in reinforcement learning, are trying to figure out how language is learned, because that's one of the backdrops to certain approaches in artificial intelligence. So if anything, our field is taking a kind of importance as people try to figure out how do computers deal in the way the human brain does. And since language is one of the quintessential processes of the human brain, they're going to have to figure out what we're trying to figure out, which is how do we produce language, and what are the psychological features of that and the linguistic features of it. So I think it's a very exciting time. I think there's going to be a major shift here. I do think people are going to go to studies of bigger and bigger data data is available, and bigger computing power is available. And so this is not for a person like me, but this is for next generation. And so I think it'll be a very exciting time. The other thing that has transfixed, I guess, many of us over the last period of time, given that we're interested in different languages and people who are multiple language learners, is the mass migrations that are happening in the world. People are moving, and with them move their languages, and they move into new language environments. So the whole world of people who are migrants, who are refugees, how they are welcomed into new countries, how they are integrated socially, are going to become major issues that our field can address.
Another topic that has gained a lot of traction lately is the idea of open science, and I think all scholars are grappling with how they can interact with the principles of open science, and I think that the authors and leadership of applied psycholinguistics are no different in that regard.
Well, we need reviewers. And people don't tend to ask to be a reviewer, they tend to wait to be asked. But don't do that. Write to your editor immediately, the editor of the journal, and say, I'd really like to become a reviewer. And then we'll put you in our reviewer lists, and people will start to ask you to review. It's an important job. It's a job that every academic really needs to do and continue to do over the course of their career. Peer review is the absolute backbone of the way science is done in today's world. It is the thing that ensures quality. It is the thing that ensures that many people have read something and not just one person. So it ensures fairness, and increasingly it's ensuring a kind of transparency as we make reviewers known and authors known to each other.